Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Tuesday, March 24th. Thank you for joining us today, this week, this month. And Annette, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Ada. I love this.
I love it too. I just look forward to the days we get to podcast together, which is all the time, every day, since this is a Monday through Friday podcast. So we get to podcast all the time and bring so much joy to my life.
Well, we have this little room that's set apart, and it's like we come in here and the whole world stops.
I know.
And we get to just focus on what we're talking about in the podcast. It is one of the joys of my life, and I think it is because we get to come to this little private space and just concentrate on what we want to share.
We get to do our personal development work.
We do. Today, we're still in chapter 4. And like I mentioned yesterday, we're not going to go too detailed into chapter 4, but if you have the book, we would recommend you reading it all the way through. Today, we're going to look at page 90, and it's a section called The Cost of Our High-Functioning Codependency on Other People. Really what she's talking about in this section is in our attempt to avoid outcomes, we can get a little ahead of ourselves. If you have listened to our podcast or come into coaching and we've taught you about empathy blockers, there's a lot of empathy blocking behavior that is part of the high-functioning codependent behavior because we don't want to go too deep and have things get messy. So we may invalidate other people's emotions and expressions. We may be hyper positive, which is telltale when a client comes in, especially if a couple comes in and they're almost that toxic positivity. You just know high functioning codependency going on right there. So if you think about how you feel when you receive an empathy blocker, that's how others feel when you are behaving from your high-functioning codependent ways. That should be a great motivator for us to say, wait, I don't have to show up like this. I can do some healing work and change how I show up.
Let me ask you a question, because you're expressing this from the codependent side of things, like you are the codependent. That's how you were sharing right there. What would you say to someone where they recognize, oh man, I'm in a relationship with someone who is a high-functioning codependent. I know they're well-intentioned. I know it's coming from trauma. I know they just don't want anything bad to happen. So yeah, they get a little ahead of themselves. How do you wish someone would share that with you? Or as the high-functioning codependent, how would you be able to hear that in a way that you know that what you were doing, it's been recognized as well-intentioned, where it's coming from, in a way that doesn't hurt your feelings?
Right before she talks about this experience that other people have, she has a section in this chapter about interdependence. You and I teach it a little bit differently. We teach that we need to have this healthy interdependence. And what happens is there's not a healthy interdependence when you are dealing with a high-functioning codependent because they kind of take over. We know why and we know how. What I would say and what I wish, well, you did say it. You eventually did say it, but it had to get to a place where you were miserable and then you said it.
Yeah, because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I knew you were trying hard.
But then it was getting on your nerves too.
Yeah, but I could see your intention, so it was hard for me to tell you to cut it out, or I didn't know, I didn't have the words to say, I get what you're saying, and let's do something different.
Okay, so I'm going to say something that's kind of a truth bomb for...
Truth bomb on me or
no,
on the
high-functioning
listeners?
codependents. My fellow high-functioning codependents. They're fake.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I've heard that before.
And they are fake, and you and I can spot it. Somebody comes in, they start talking about their life, and you can tell fake. And then you see the interaction between them and whoever they're codependent with, fake. It's easy to tell.
That is a truth bomb.
It's a truth bomb, but it's a loving truth bomb. Because what you can say then, if you love someone who's high-functioning codependent, well, you have to be fake. You got to be putting on masks because you have to control the outcomes because you've got trauma. So what I would like somebody to say is, Mom, I prefer your authentic self. Or if you're married to someone, honey, when you act in a way that's not really who you are by trying to do everything for everyone and not allowing anyone to fail and all the various ways we show up, it's not as helpful as you might think. And it's also very hard on you. So would you be willing to open things up a little bit so that we could all share in the responsibilities, so that we could all share in the decisions of our home? The problem is, I'm going to say this because I know.
Because they can't hear that. Okay, I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm giggling over here with a huge smile on my face.
Why are you giggling?
Well, because...
Why are you giggling? Because what I was going to say was the problem with the person that...
says you're so fake?
That says you're so fake like you did, or...
The high-functioning codependent can't hear that, though.
Yes, they can. I heard it.
You didn't like that I said it,
well,
and you were kind of mad about it.
Only for a day or so.
Okay, so did that cut through the
You have
shields?
to say something that's a little bit startling so that they know they don't have to do it anymore. But what I want to say, there's a huge caveat to this, though. Typically, the high-functioning codependent has trained people and taught people how to treat them, and the other people have dropped the ball. So they just kind of let the high-functioning codependent do all the things. And then they're kind of resentful. So that's where the messy part gets in. If you could...
Can I repeat that just to make sure we're super clear on that?
Okay.
So what you're sharing there, so there's the high-functioning codependent and then everybody else.
And the people they love.
And the people they love. And the people that they love maybe don't live up to expectations or don't do anything or don't do the things, quote unquote, right.
Or they really don't do the things right.
Well, that's where you get into the underfunctioning from yesterday.
Yes. That's why this can get so messy, because if you could just have a conversation and you just say, there's no reason to have this mask on any longer. Let's work together.
So then the high-functioning codependent has a lot of evidence like, well, gosh, I have to do all of this. Yeah. I have to, quote unquote, take over because this group of people, they really don't do what they're supposed to be doing. So if I don't do it, it's all just going to fall apart.
And that's our greatest fear, but that's what we have to allow to happen.
Well, it's self-fulfilling prophecy, actually, because it's the greatest fear, but the way that fear gets handled makes it come true.
If you are holding up the other people in your family or even your spouse, and you recognize that you're a high-functioning codependent, and then you say, well, but if I don't do it, they won't do it. The answer is you got to let them not do it. If they're not going to do the chore, then you got to hire somebody to do the chore, or you put their messy things in their corner. I mean, you got to do it. And that's the hardest part. You
got to take drastic actions because this situation requires drastic change.
Yes, it does, because otherwise it will perpetuate itself and there's no way out. There's no way out except to stop it. There is this Bob Newhart from years and years ago. I don't even know if you know who Bob Newhart is, but he had this show.
I know what you're going to talk about, and that is my only relationship with Bob Newhart.
Well, he had this show, and he was a psychiatrist. And, somebody came in, and he's supposed to be helping them, and then he just says, stop it. And then they say, well, going on, and he would just say, stop it. It was funny, and it didn't seem like it was very understanding or empathetic, but with high-functioning codependency, we have to understand it, right? We have to bring awareness to it. We have to process. We talked about last week, process with a professional that will help you process your trauma. And then as we bring awareness to it, and we're going to talk about in April, we're going to talk about many ways of how to help ourselves through this journey and heal from it in the second part of her book. But truly, we bring awareness and we must say to ourselves, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to hold people up and help them stand. They have to learn to stand on their own. And that is a painful process.
It's actually the most loving process, though.
It is, because then there's true, authentic connection on the other side. We wouldn't have that if we didn't say to ourselves, I'm going to get all the help I need. I'm going to get the support I need. This is too much to do by myself, but I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop showing up from this high functioning codependency place for myself because I don't want to do that anymore.
So our intention for today is, if I recognize I'm a high functioning codependent, I will get the help I need so I can stop it. If I recognize I'm a high functioning codependent, I will get the help I need so I can stop it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.